Hi and welcome to another lecture series here on DailyChess.org. And this time I'd like to show you how to play with gambit opening or gambit play, where one side sacrifices a pawn and gets a pretty decent compensation for it, and especially how difficult it can be from a practical point of view to be on the defensive side all the time, and how easy small mistakes might occur. This game was played in a team match on the internet site chess.com for my group Staunton Chess Masters, where I play for maybe half a month, and we have got our first series challenge. And on first board I met Uwe W. Rated 1860, which is quite decent, not a bad player. And we went for this opening, which is okay. After knight c3 we can go to the Indian defense, but for this game I decided to choose a move which was even recommended by Boris Avruk in his excellent books, Grandmaster Aperture Volume 1, first d4. Actually, in that case, Volume 2. Okay, c5, which steers the game to kind of a Benoni. It's okay. If you play this g3 move order, you actually have to be ready to play the Benoni with the fianchetto variation. So yeah, I was also prepared for it. E takes and c takes. So we have the basic position for the Benoni. For the Benoni defense, and here the main move is simply to play d6 and then probably to fianchetto this bishop here and exert some pressure on this line diagonal, and then later on searching counterplay with b5, a6 and so on, b4, c4 and so on, supporting this powerful bishop here on this diagonal. But there's a slight, it's kind of a sideline which is possible to play, and I think it was called Catalan Benoni by Avruk, which is to play b5 here. Black uses the fact that the knight is not yet on c3, so he cannot control b5, and therefore plays this move in one go. And it's okay, but the problem is that the king side, the king here especially, will need time before it gets developed, and white has quite serious options. He can either gambit the pawn, here especially this e4 pawn, in order to gain time once black takes, and then to try to swing his rook after castling on the open file and try to pressure the lonely king here in the center. So let's see, knight f3, bishop b7, and now e4, which is quite a strong move actually. It's not easy to play against it, and my opponent rightly fell for it. Okay, he saw that I also attacked this pawn, so I'm not obliged to play bishop g2, but I can also take this pawn out. And therefore he played b4, which is in a way already dubious or a slight mistake. Let's say if he intends to take this pawn, it's definitely a mistake. Otherwise I would say it's just a dubious decision, because he just loses time. I've got my center now. I can now really develop my piece simply. And now after taking, he has a problem that I already obtain a serious lead in development after castle. He has two pieces which are not developed yet. The rooks are not connected, and the main weakness is this king here. And I can gain time in taking this knight. I have two pieces developed and already castled, so in a way, okay, we have an equal number of pieces in the game, but I will seriously gain time for my pieces, and it will, at least counter my slight material investment. It's difficult it's easy to grab pawns, but you should always try to see the consequences. I mean, if he takes the pawn, his king is still stuck in the center, especially, you know, he's in a way, I don't know, it's like sitting in a corner waiting to be beaten up. He cannot escape. Especially the bishop is not really a good defender, because a motive with d6 might come, attacking the bishop. Especially powerful with a rook on the e5, because then the bishop is pinned. And yeah, let's just imagine this scenario. Let's say I have a rook on e1, and the bishop is on e7, and I play d6. I would definitely regain this piece, win the bishop, but he cannot even play king f8, because then I take and fork king and queen. So it's, yeah, you see that there are many different dangerous ideas and motives available, and my opponent definitely failed to get the most out of it, and I won, yeah, kind of a nice miniature. Knight takes e4, castle. Okay, so white certainly has a lead in development, which he will try to use by attacking the opponent's weaknesses. The weaknesses in the position right now are this one, certainly this, but most of all this king here. One could even say that this square might also be weak, because I can always play d6 and take control of it. Okay, knight d6. I wasn't quite sure if he should have gone for this one, just maybe to have such intentions later on to secure the king. You know, even if you have to return the material, you will be positionally worse, but at least you can try to bring a king out in the game. Yeah, it's not easy. I mean, probably might have been best, but I can maybe simply ignore it, just exchange it off and then play, rook e1, maybe even knight e5 to control the square. Some options. Okay, knight d6 is definitely a loss of time. The simple idea is that the rook move here cannot really be prevented. Immediately rook e1 is not that good, because he plays bishop e7 and castles next. So I first have to play bishop f4, with the idea, once the bishop moves, as happened in the game, I take it out, and now play rook e1. If we compare this line to the other one, here, the opponent's king is out of danger. I would say that, yeah, my compensation for the pawn is not that great, maybe. I mean, okay, I have the compensation of this light squares here, but I'm not sure. I mean, I probably play something like b3, knight bd2, knight c4, and so on. And this, I have some compensation, but I think it's much easier for black right now. And in this line here with rook e1, okay, as I mentioned before, bishop e7 is just horrible, because d6 comes. Taking here first, just horrible, because the rook hangs, everything's hanging. Therefore, okay, if he goes king f8 to go out of this pin, I just take and fork both. So this is easily winning. And yeah, otherwise it's, yeah, it's just dangerous. Therefore he has to play king f8, not to lose material. And certainly is a critical point right now. If we look at the position, if we try to evaluate it, we see that black is a pawn up. He certainly lacks in development. That's what I have as compensation. And he has a very bad king. Additionally, his light squares are weak. This bishop is a bit unstable, especially after knight d2 c4. I can hit it and then play d6, gaining much more space. Later maybe go for rook e7 and so on. Knight g5 or knight d5 ideas. Simply to try to create weaknesses and to get an initiative to create weaknesses and then attack it later on. Because it's difficult to develop this piece. I mean, okay, knight a8, a6 is possible, but where does the knight go? I mean, those pawns stop the knight from going anywhere. you can go to c7, but this bishop will probably go there after I hit it, after knight b2, c4, and this knight simply has no prospects at all. So it's very, very difficult for black to untangle here, and white has certainly more than enough compensation for the pawn. The problem being that you have to find a plan which is underlines your positional advantage and your strength, and with which you can try to increase the pressure, increase the pieces, to use the time you get to create threats, and maybe even use the fact that this king side here does not have many pieces which defend it. For instance, the rook is not really defending it despite the h7 pawn. The queen, okay, might immediately go to e7, f6, and so on maybe later on. The bishop might be a defensive piece, but here's 3 pieces which do not defend anything. And I can go with the bishop here, for instance, later on. I can go with the knight. I can go immediately with this knight here, because I hit one of his weaknesses. So I create immense threats, and as you can see, my opponent simply collapsed under the pressure. He did not take everything into account and lost quite badly. Knight b7, king g8, okay, at least trying to do something. Knight e4, hitting the bishop, bishop c7, knight takes c4. One might wonder, what about queen f8? Just take it out, take, and rook. It's checkmate, so he has to go there to stop it. I just take it out, take, and yeah, I would say that now it's black sacrifice material with no compensation, or real compensation, and the game should end rather soon. So bishop c7. Okay, what about this? Okay, this is just checkmate if he takes. Oh no, sorry, that's the same way. Pardon. It's the same line we saw right now. Yeah, if he does not take, then it's checkmate. So he has to go for this line we saw right now, some moments ago. Bishop c7, knight takes c5. So I regained my pawn, created a new weakness. Also, this bishop is now exposed, and this back rank problem remains because this king is still weak. Okay, try to solve the issue that way. Once again, this back rank comes into I can underline it after queen c8, because if it takes, it's over. The bishop a6. Okay, his intention is, at least once I take, he develops this problem piece, this knight. But after d6, I hit the bishop and free this diagonal. Bishop b6, queen d5. Okay, hitting it. And here I even had some later on some forced win. Pretty nice idea. Just queen knight g5. Just over. Let's say knight c6. I think. Or yeah, can't really recommend anything else. I have some ideas with knight g5 because I'm threatening this one, and he will never be able to take the knight even if the queen moves, because this back rank weakness finishes him off. So this is also one nice idea which is in the position. Knight c6. Okay, has to sacrifice something. The bishop. And okay, I'm just a piece up, so this is about to end soon. Rook c8, rook a to c1, knight b8, rook takes, queen takes, and also a very nice motive. Here, I think knight g5 also finishes him off. One nice idea is that after this it's just made due to the pin. Not there, but to the queen. And okay, after queen a8, it's also just a nice motive, just using the pin. If he takes, it's made, but even this way it's made. Sacrifice for everything, and it's made. After h6, okay, I just queen b8. creating a pin towards the king, so you cannot take my knight. The king moves, I just take his queen, play knight e5, hitting both weaknesses, and using the fact that he cannot play rook c2, try to create counterplay, because bishop e4. And after this, my opponent resigned. So you can see that practical compensation is also quite important to know and to be able to use, because again, while playing the game we don't use engines, and without engines we have to rely on our own ability to calculate variations, and this is something that where we most likely put mistakes in and make mistakes. So don't forget about practical compensation. That chess is in a way a practical game, and I hope you will also be able to create such nice games.